lately I've been recording a lot of vocals for my band's album, so I thought it might be cool to make a quick video showing my 5 best tips for recording vocals in home studio. So let's get to it. Number 1 is microphone position. The main thing here to remember is you want it, well, firstly and foremostly positioned correctly towards the singer's mouth, so at head height. I will show you my setup here. So as you can see, it's pointed at my mouth. You can get slightly different sounds by having it pointing upwards or downwards towards your mouth, but a good starting point is just dead on. You can see this is slightly tilted towards me just because of a bit of experimentation to get the sound I want. But more than just the microphone's position and tilt, its position within the room is important. You want it in the center of the room or as close to it as possible. You do not want to set it up in the corner of a room because I don't want to go into acoustic theory and room modes and stuff like that in this video, but basically the layman's version is bass frequencies will be made louder in the corners. So you want to stay away from that to get a proper frequency response and a proper recording of what you think you're hearing. So center of the room if possible, or as close to as possible, and you want it to be comfortable as well. So the microphone, you shouldn't have to lean down or lean back to sing into the microphone. Just make it comfortable for yourself or the singer. Tip number 2, use a pop screen. One of these lads. It's essentially just a metal or plastic circle with some thin fabric stretched over it, something like women's tights, that kind of material. You can make one yourself, in fact, using a coat hanger, or some other bendable metal wire frame, and then stretch some tights over it. But they are extremely cheap and extremely effective. This one came with the microphone. I don't know if you can see, I'm not really going to mess with the mic position because I'm not finished recording, but there are some tears in this one, even though it's kind of an expensive and fancy looking one. This one, on the other hand, is dirt cheap. I think it's the cheapest one you can buy on Thomann.com or Thomann.de or whatever it is, and I've had this for about as long as that one. Works perfectly, looks as good as new. The other one still works grand. They're hard to mess up. I mean, there's a tiny tear in it, but it still does its job. And if you don't know what the job of a pop filter is, it's to filter out plosives and S sounds. So if you say pick or I can't think of an S word without cursing suddenly. Sustain, the P and the S, or T's as well. Any kind of syllable that causes you to push air plosively will get picked up on the recording and won't sound right. It sounds normal in normal conversation, but a microphone picks it up slightly differently, and it doesn't sound right on a recording. So it just tames that, and then along with plugins and EQ later on you can tame it even further, but it's better to stop it at the source. Number 3 is avoid noise. So you want a quiet room, switch off anything that you're not using for recording which is creating noise. Try to have a sealed room. So in this house my recording room is separate to everything else really. There's a doorway that is solid wood, then a hallway, then another doorway into the rest of the house really. So you have several levels of isolation there. So, and then just try to get everyone in the house to be quiet while you're doing it, basically. Turn down the TV or get everyone to leave the house for a while, though that's a bit antisocial, but you know, these are the things we must do in pursuit of our art or something. If you have a setup like mine, then if you have all other noise sources destroyed or taken away, the only noise source I have in this room is the computer, and if you check my older videos you can see how I built the quietest computer I possibly could, but it is still a source of noise. There will always be some low-level fan noise or something. So what I have done, if I can show you quickly, some remedies to that are, firstly, I have the computer blocked off by a few baffles. These are my bass traps that were left over spare. So they're just surrounding it and blocking the noise slightly, but that's not doing a huge amount. Secondly, I have this T-bone mic screen that I got from Thomann. I think there's another version. It's like a rip-off of SE Electronics thing, I think. But it's a bit of acoustic foam on a metal back thing that can stand on a mic stand. You put it behind the mic and it blocks sound coming from behind. But then, more importantly, the fact that it's behind the mic as well, the microphone should be set to Cardioid pattern if that's available. This microphone has 3 settings: a figure 8, omnidirectional and Cardioid. If you don't know much about microphones, you should look into polar patterns, which are very important for recording. Cardioid has drawbacks where, well, firstly, Cardioid is basically a polar pattern, which means that the microphone picks up noise from in front of it and rejects noise coming from behind it. So what you do is you point the microphone away from the noise source, so the noise source is as directly behind it as you can make it, and then the microphone picks up less of that sound. The drawback to it is that Cardioid accentuates bass frequencies when you get too close. It's called the proximity effect, where the closer you are to the mic, the more boomy your voice will sound. But with a condenser mic you can stand a little bit further away and lessen that, and it might actually add to your recordings if you're into that whole bassy, boomy sound anyway. Third tip is to avoid using wardrobes or tiny little vocal booths that you build yourself. The problem with these, what people think happens, they see pictures of vocal booths in real studios and they try to do something similar by just getting a wardrobe or a closet and standing in it. The problem with that is that in a real studio those rooms are bigger for a start, and they're also acoustically treated properly, because if you just climb into a wardrobe and start singing in it, you will sound like you're singing in a wardrobe, obviously. You can remedy it slightly, I suppose, by hanging up blankets and whatnot, but I mean, really you want real acoustic treatment, and if you're going to go investing in creating real acoustic treatment, you're not going to do it in a wardrobe, you're going to build a proper vocal booth, you know? So don't do that. What you want is, the best case scenario if you don't have any acoustic treatment, is just put the microphone in the center of a room. The next step up would be to hang some heavy duvets or something behind you on mic stands, so the microphone is in front of you, heavy duvets or something along that lines, blankets or something, moving blankets I think some people use, hanging behind you on a frame. And that just blocks reflections coming from behind you and just improves the recording a huge amount. The next step up is what I have done here, which is my bass traps are kind of arranged in like an array behind me, creating like a half vocal booth, and they make a massive difference to the sound. The difference between hearing the room echo, the flutter echo of the room, and not hearing it in the recording is a big step up in professional level, you know, of sound. Finally, the best tip that I've discovered on my own is to use a thing called touch DAW. I don't know if you can see this. Excuse my phone, I dropped it several times. But yeah, it's this app. I think there's a free version that's limited. I think you can use it like the paid version for a while, but you'd want to get the real version to use it properly. The full version allows you to record, stop, start, play, skip to markers, all with your phone. So you don't have to stop recording, go back to the computer, click around, hit record again, run back to the mic. You can just do everything on your own from where you're recording. You could probably accomplish a similar thing with just a wireless keyboard or mouse if you know the right shortcuts, but this is just far handier for me. I have it set to a transport setting, and you just select the right marker with the forward and back button and then hit record, and then hit stop when you're done, hit record again, and it'll do an overdub, what's the word, separate takes that you can then go through so you can comp together your vocal. Very handy if you don't have an assistant, if you're just recording at home like most of us would be. So yeah, Touch DAW, it's an Android app. I'm not sure if there's a similar iPhone equivalent, but that idea is just much better for recording in a room on your own, because it helps you get further into the flow of things rather than stopping and starting and hitting stop and play and record, running back and forth. You can just set it up, do an entire take of your verse or chorus or your whole song, and stop, start again without having to move, and it just really helps. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a like and a subscribe. The channel is growing pretty steadily now. We're up to 140 likes, I think, or subscribers, I mean. Thanks for everything. Please keep watching.